The Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, fantastic. So, for the audience watching, we are here with Patrick of Stereos. The band is back after a long hiatus. Maybe you caught their single from last year with Summertime Gold, but now they're back with a Look Good, and we're here to dive behind some of this reconnecting of the band and leading on up to this new single. So how is it going today, Pat?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I mean, hey, it's always a pleasure to have someone on here. And as someone who toured in a pop punk band and otherwise, it's you guys were pretty much like the bar for Western Canada for a long time. So trust me, it's a absolute pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you so much for saying that. We're pretty good at telling ourselves how good we are, but it's always nice to hear it from someone else.
Got to keep that hype train rolling. Got to keep
Exactly, even if it's for yourselves.
Exactly. Sometimes, other people can't hear it, so especially in a time over like this last year here. So everything is good.
Yeah, it's been a wild year for sure.
Awesome. So I want to dive into sort of how the band has kind of gone through that process because last year you released your comeback single in February before everything shut down. So before getting to that shutdown, when exactly did the wheels get put back in motion? Because you guys had been on quite a lengthy hiatus. So when exactly did Stereos come back together?
Yeah, it's kind of wild how it happened, man. Like it wasn't supposed to be a hiatus. We were done. Like we had broken up, but we had a 10 years come up from the release of Summer Girl. And it was like, that only comes once because if you miss that year, then it's 11 years and that number's not as cool. So we thought we have to do something. Let's just do a reunion show. It's a one-off and like go out on our own terms. It was still under the idea that we were not getting back together. It would just be something fun to do to say goodbye because we never really did say goodbye. We had done like our second album, then just kind of disappeared. So when we did that and the show sold out, it was just it's addicting, man. And we were like, we have to keep doing this. And so as soon as I got back from the reunion show in Toronto, I started writing, and Sunset Gold was actually the first song I wrote for this new iteration of the band. And it kind of just really I think it showed some growth, like kind of in the sound, but it also just like touched on some lyrical themes that I think were new for us. But you're right. Then 2 weeks later, COVID hit and we had to kind of take another step back and be like, well, are we going to let this derail us or are we going to keep going? And I'm so thankful that we took the approach that, well, we now have however amount of time. Obviously, none of us knew how long it was going to last. Some of us thought 2 weeks, right? But we were able to then just really focus on what we wanted the album to sound like and work with some different writers and then write ourselves. And it was just, I think now looking back on the last year plus, it was just very necessary for us to take a step away and just like write and record, and that's it. And that's what we did.
Okay, so did you plan on doing a full album before everything shut down? Did you guys plan on touring first? Did everything look like beforehand?
A little bit of both, man. I think the entire album probably would have sounded very similar to Sunset Gold, which I don't think would have been the right move because I think like with Look Good, the new single, and then some other elements on the album, we really like pridefully went back to like, it's I think a much more mature take on our old sound, but it still is unabashedly pop. And I think that was necessary for us. We were probably going to do some summer one-off shows, but obviously that became impossible. And so we're very lucky though. It didn't really derail us in the way it would an established band because it was all up in the air. So it's not as though we had concrete plans or anything that got derailed.
Absolutely, for sure. You guys hadn't exactly planned out a full like comeback tour or otherwise. Okay.
No, nothing like that. Yeah.
Okay. So over this past year is everybody still in the same area? Were you guys able to get into the same studio for sessions? Did you guys have to sort of work with sending files across country? How did this process of crafting this new track, this upcoming album come together?
Yeah, dude, all of the above. So 2 of us live in Edmonton and 2 of us live in Toronto. So that was always kind of there. And so in terms of like putting the songs together, there was a lot of track sending. then in January, we recorded the album, and I got there maybe a week before a really heavy lockdown came into effect. And so once that happened in the studio, it was like very strict, like masks, distanced. And then after our recording sessions, it was just back to the place I was staying, and that's it. I had nothing to do, dude. I joke about it, but it was the first time in my life where I hated weekends because I had nothing to do. And I was like, I need Monday morning at 9 to come around so we can get back in the studio. And so it was not an easy situation. It was like 3.5 weeks, almost a month of me just like living in a studio, doing everything, just putting it into this album. But at the end, I think the end product has been really strong. So that's good.
Give you a bit more time to focus on what you were crafting then.
It's true, man. And I know myself, like I love going out and having fun. I've always been that kind of guy. And I think it's probably for the best that I wasn't able to. And it was just like, no, this is your job. Go home, chill out, get a good night's sleep, and then be fresh, ready to work every morning, because that is how it played out. And I think it definitely benefited the process in the album for sure.
Well, it's sleep is very important as a vocalist for sure, keeping the vocal cords nice and crisp.
You're totally right. And especially an aging vocalist, it's more important to me now than it's ever been.
Yeah, definitely probably been out of that touring cycle of a little while of having everything tuned up and sort of knowing how to try to keep everything as crisp before those shows while still getting the partying in.
Oh man, you're right though. It's going to look a lot different touring this time around. Way different. Like I'm too old to like even think about living this way we used to 10 years ago. But also like we're at the age now where like, our guitar player is sober now, which has been an awesome thing for him. So for me to go out and like floor it on tour would be ridiculous because I'd be literally the only one. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it a lot more seriously, I think. Depends if we have a day off the next day, maybe, but no, it's going to be pretty low key.
Maybe once or twice, right? And just take the time to enjoy.
Yeah, but I'm not going to let it get in the way of the shows. And that's the thing, man. That did happen where I'd lose my voice on tour. And so I think that this feels like so much more special this time around because we thought we were done and that music wasn't going to be here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm holding up my end of the bargain by taking it seriously for sure. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So what serious energy while still staying fun are we tackling here with Look Good? Because like you said, it still fits some of that pop energy of that classic stereo sound that a lot of people are used to, but still sort of tackling a little bit of what we've been going through here in this past little while.
Yeah, man, that's it's well said. Like it's very true. So Look Good, I think the first few times people hear it, it's just gonna sound like kind of like an old stereos upbeat song. It reminds me of one of our songs called Turn It Up, maybe a little bit more of a updated sound on that. But it started out when I was writing it with a buddy of mine, Dan Davidson. He had this chorus idea for "Damn, you look good," kind of like talking to someone you're interested in. But unfortunately for me, I was literally like a week out from having, my marriage end. And, it was a really like, pretty serious time in my life. Now, I will say that we love each other to death. We're all good. But at that time, to me, I was like, no, let's make this about, self-love and like wanting to be really happy with who you are with yourself and that confidence. That could be like applicable to people like going through this pandemic and having a tough time, or maybe you're in a tough spot. So the ability to have like an empowering song where maybe my circumstances would make me not feel great about myself, but I do, is what made me shift the song. So this song, like, again, although it's like an upbeat pop song, it has a lot of meaning to me. And I think that shift of perspective on the chorus vocal and like where it comes from makes it a little bit more unique too. So yeah, this song, it has a very deep place for me, which I love.
Oh, wow. So taking something that is exactly just that party song and adding a little more depth to it because there's a little more value in everybody has been going through things and just dealing with the thing that we have all been dealing with COVID, and then also dealing with just our own personal lives and otherwise and how that has affected everybody's lives up to this point.
Totally. Like we've been sort of like a lot of people have been forced into a very isolating existence in a lot of ways. Right. And so when you are like I was sort of situations, circumstances outside of my control made me have to look in the mirror and be like, are you happy with who you are today? And like, I really realized that that's the most important thing. You really need to be, to love yourself first, before, you are the best version of yourself for others. And so to me, that's what this song really is all about.
Very, very true. Is it's in order to help illuminate other people, we have to first find out how to illuminate ourselves, find out who we are and how to accept who we are so that we can maybe give a little bit more of who that person is.
You're totally right, man. I heard an analogy actually very recently from a friend of mine about where they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on in a flight before you help someone else. And I think a lot of us are living lives where we want to please others, but we're putting everyone else's masks on, but we're gasping for air in the aisle. And it's like, I thought you put that such so well, because I think a lot of us do that in a world where, people want to please others and have other people think of them in a positive way, but you got to make sure that, you're looking after yourself.
Absolutely. Very, very important. And it's also good to keep that good vibes, that good energy, which of course the energy behind this song also captures. So now that it's been over a year now to this second single of the second iteration of Stereos, what is it like to finally be able to have this message out into the world?
It's man, it's like, to say like that it's meaningful is such an understatement. Like, so again, part of me discovering who I wanted to be as a person was me drawing a line in the sand to myself where I have to do this and I'm going to give it absolutely everything I have. And so it really wasn't like, again, I don't want to try and make it sound like I'm any more special than anyone else. This has been a hard year for everyone, but I'm no exception. And so to then say, I have to do this, I'm going to give it everything I have. I'm not happy, like not pursuing music because it wasn't in my life for so long. I'm going to do this. And then the month living in January and complete isolation and things like that, to see it culminate in this release, and even just seeing like the cover art that we've put together and things like that. It's just like, it is so incredibly meaningful to me and cathartic, to the point where, do I want to do this forever? Absolutely. And do I hope it does really well? Absolutely. But I really am proud of myself and for the band, all four of us, for coming together, being closer than we've ever been, and putting something out that we're so proud of. So it means everything, man, everything.
All right, awesome. Definitely showing that not only has the band grown, but the individuals behind this band have also grown over this time as individuals, as human beings.
Absolutely, man. Like never before. I mean, it would be sad if we hadn't. Again, we were in like our mid 20s before, and now mid 30s. I would hope that we've grown as individuals. I think we had an amazing time, man. And I look back at, 10 years ago as, one of the most amazing times in my life, but I don't know if it's conducive to being the person who I am today. And so the fact that we've all shown growth, whether it be, emotionally or interpersonally and things like that, I think it's gone a long way. And so, like I said, we're closer than we've ever been, which is very, very meaningful.
All right, awesome. So you guys were able to get together to record this single together, which is fantastic. And of course, there's other mediums of trying to hype a video, and in a time like this, it can be very difficult to do so. So what are you guys trying to craft a music video for this song? Is there one? Are you guys doing like a lyric video? What are you doing to make sure that this song gets exactly that most illumination that it can?
Yeah, good point. So we need to do a video, especially with this type of song and the themes in the song. The thing is, right now we have a whole team ready to go. We have a concept, a treatment, and it's we're literally waiting every single day, hoping to hear something about an ease of restrictions to the point where we could have enough people to get together and make the video we want to make. So I would say, turnaround time on a video can actually be pretty quick, like quicker than you'd think. But I would say it'll probably be out within the first couple weeks of the single itself coming out. So yes, the answer is yes. We have a video planned. It's just a matter of waiting for the day we're able to do it. Then I think we're going to fly out to Toronto and do that.
All right, awesome. Making sure that you can get there ASAP. And of course, there is a full EP or album, a collection of songs coming our way. So without giving away too much, What can you tell us about this upcoming collection?
Yeah. So there will be a full album. We recorded it all. Like I wrote like 25 songs. We recorded 12, and there will be 10 on the album. I think it's probably going to come out in the fall. So, I'm an old man, but I'm learning that, the way to do it now is single by single kind of over the summer, I think. And then, yeah, we'll release an album in the fall. Um, and in terms of like the sound, I would say it's very much stereos, and it's very much us having grown up. I think lyrically, it's not even close. It's the strongest lyrically. It explores a bunch of different sounds, and that to me is stereos. We've never done one thing. It's always been mixing sounds you wouldn't necessarily hear together, and then putting it with like a rock band behind it. And so even Sunset Gold, you can hear that. It's sort of an EDM song with a live band behind it. Look Good is sort of a funk pop song. I would say there's an 80s influence. There's definitely a country influence in some songs. It's very much stereos. And all that means is that it's all over the map. Our poor producer had to deal with that, but but something I'm so proud of, man. Like each song kind of it's like an individual movie in and of itself to me.
Has its own unique style and energy.
Bingo. Yeah, exactly. And then at the end of the day, it's got my voice, for better or for worse on it. So they're all stereo songs.
I mean, personally, myself, I would like to think for the better, and I think the fans do too. And you've been putting your voice on some tracks for some IIHF sort of celebration style things there. So, sort of celebrating your love of hockey.
Yeah, so that was so interesting. They approached us because they knew we were like putting new music together, and we've been like ridiculously open since day one. I mean, my first love was hockey. I was born in Edmonton during a dynasty. And so it's shaped my entire identity, which is not a good thing. Like Oilers fans are absolute psychos, but I am one. So I recognize that we're like wild, but yeah, I am one. I can't help it. So when they came to us about these goal songs or just like putting together something for hockey, just working with the IIHF has been such a cool opportunity, because there's an old adage that, musicians want to be athletes, athletes want to be musicians. And I can speak for at least Rob and myself in the band that's very true. Like we are absolutely obsessed with hockey. And so if we can work with it, we've been talking to like different people, like some of the players and the on the bench crew. I don't know if you know those guys, but they do hockey content. And so to me, it's just such an awesome opportunity to open up relationships in the sport that I love.
Awesome. Well, that's very, very exciting for sure. Because obviously, within Canada, the World Juniors, that IIHF is definitely something that gets a lot of attention. A lot of people get riled up behind. So to have a piece in not only like, making a song for Canada itself, but also other countries like Sweden and just all
Dude, I
these
did
different
so
groups.
much research. Like I was like looking up words and pronouncing things in other languages and finding out capital cities or what flags look like. It was so it was so cool actually to like just do a little bit of research on each country and find out these different things, what makes them, because like in non-traditional hockey markets, like how do they view the team and things like that. And so it's been pretty obvious that countries such as Kazakhstan, or maybe that they don't get a lot of a spotlight, they love that we did this song. And then there's countries like Sweden or I don't even know some of the other ones where they're like, please stop. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. But it's very funny to me because I'm like, I find that online trolls are actually the funniest thing in the world. So I can take it.
Well, I'd like to see them do a better job of fitting players' names inside of these tracks and making it rhyme with things that also fit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I agree with you. I mean, and if they can do a better job, they should probably get the job. I don't know. Good for them.
They should apply now. Otherwise, they should just stop complaining because you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Actually, they can keep complaining. That's fine. But as long as when they make fun of us, it's funny. And some of them are very funny. So I'm okay with that. As long as you make me laugh when you're making fun of me, then I'm okay with it.
Got to be creative. You got to be just as creative as these tracks. Come on now.
Exactly. If you're like, this sucks, I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Next. But if you're like, my ears are bleeding, I'm never going to watch hockey again if you keep posting this, that's funny to me. Good for you.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. I love it. And I've had a blast with this conversation so far. I have one question left, Pat. Are you ready for it?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. So, I mean, we have kind of covered a little bit of your growth through this time and the reconnection of the band with growing your sound, sort of delving more into lyrics, getting a little bit deeper. Like I said, we have dove a little bit into your growth, but of course, I would like to know a little bit more. And with that, how has this last couple of years, this last 2 years of rebanding, crafting this music and otherwise, how has it helped you grow as a person? Or what has it helped you learn about yourself?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So there's so many levels to that, and I can answer each of them. So for one, I really fell in love with good co-writes again. So co-writing is a process that I don't think a lot of people understand. Sometimes it is the worst day of your life where you just get nothing. You don't get along with the person. Your ideas are not what they like, and vice versa. And it can be terrible. And so for a long time, I've really just stood on my own two legs. Like, I've written, I would say, the vast majority of our songs by myself. But with this album, working with Dan Davidson and Jesse Colburn in Toronto, I really fell in love with good co-writes, and we just got on the same page and we came up with some really good stuff. And then the benefit of that was that then I wrote, I would say, 5 of the songs, so half the album after those co-writes by myself. But it's because I learned so much in the co-writes that I was able to sort of, take what I've learned, or like just sensibilities about what to do. And so I think it made me a better songwriter. Now, as a personally speaking, I think, I kind of touched on it already, but the growth I've made in terms of understanding the importance of taking care of myself and making sure that I'm doing what I want, waking up with purpose every single day of my life, which I don't think I was doing until I was sort of forced into that situation. And that's why I'm actually very thankful I went through the breakup and things like that, because I think it taught me a lot about what I need to be doing to be a happy person. And when I'm a happy person, I just know that I'm better for those who are around me as well. So the importance of music in my life, being creative, and continuing to write songs is something that is a non-negotiable for me, that I have to have in my life. And so this album brought that about. And like, if you were to talk to each individual band member, I could guarantee you that they've all had to go through very similar, areas of growth as a result of it too.
Wow, fantastic. I love that answer. I
Too
love
deep
that
for like a
answer.
pop singer maybe, but that's the truth.
Oh, hey, pop singers can be a lot deeper than people give them credit for. So I appreciate that you've given us such depth here today. And thank you, Pat, for joining me here on the Desert Tiger podcast.
Literally anytime. Actually, I'm going to ask you, what is Desert Tiger? It's the sickest podcast name out of any of the podcasts I've been on. It's the best name. What's the story there?
So I actually stole it from an anime for like years ago. I wanted to name a record label Desert Tiger because there was a character inside of a Gundam show where it was just giant fighting robots and he went by the Desert Tiger, and I just thought it was dope. And then I moved to Kamloops, which Kamloops is considered a desert. And then they used to have a zoo, and the main draw at the zoo was Zeph the tiger. So I just thought that like both these things connected so well that I was like, screw it, let's go for it.
Oh no, that's absolutely the right call for sure. It's the best name. So good for you. I'm very impressed. And all good ideas kind of borrow from something, I think.
Exactly. What's original anymore, right?
Exactly. I remember when I started writing pop songs, I had a producer tell me anything completely original isn't good, and anything good isn't completely original. Now, there's probably a lot of like strict musicians who would freak out at that, but I've certainly would agree.
I'm sure they'll learn this lesson with time.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
All right, Pat, thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Anytime. I really enjoyed it.